Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're taking a really deep philosophical dive into the absolute core of human existence. We're looking at the fundamental forces that shape who we are and, maybe more importantly, who we're going to become. This isn't just about getting through the day, it's about completely reframing how we perceive our own reality. It's about shifting from this passive state of just existing into an active state of creation, where you literally have total agency over the narrative of your life.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Are you living, or are you just existing? Because it's so easy to wake up, go through the motions, react to whatever the world throws at you, and just go back to sleep, right? That is just existing. In that scenario, you're just a passenger on the timeline of your own life. But what if you decided to step into the driver's seat? What if you decided to grab the pen and actually write the blueprint yourself?
Part 1. Architect of Existence. Designing your reality.
So an architect of existence is someone who actively designs their life through the synthesis of both triumphs and setbacks. Think about a literal architect for a second. They don't just sketch a pretty picture of a finished building and call it a day, right? No way. They calculate the weight of the materials, they anticipate high winds, seismic activity, the whole shebang. They actually plan for stress. And in our lives, we have to adopt that exact same mindset. We can't just plan for the sunny days and the easy victories. We have to meticulously engineer our mindset to synthesize our setbacks, turning those structural challenges into the very things that hold us up. Plus, a master architect deeply understands the soil they're building on. They assess the ground, just as we have to honestly assess our own past, our upbringing, and our psychological baseline. I mean, you can't build a skyscraper on a swamp without driving piles deep into the bedrock. Embracing this role means accepting that you are the master builder, wholly responsible for the integrity of the structure you choose to inhabit.
Now, this architectural mindset isn't just for your career or your bank account. It requires reinforcing 3 very specific pillars across all dimensions of your existence. First up, emotional resilience. This is how you build a foundation that absorbs the shocks of grief, stress, and interpersonal conflict without crumbling. And look, emotional resilience doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you have the structural flexibility to sway in high winds without snapping. Second, professional pursuits. This is about engineering a career that isn't just a paycheck, but a purpose-driven structure where your daily efforts contribute to your grander design. And finally, spiritual depth. Now, in a practical, non-religious sense, this just means establishing internal load-bearing walls that give you peace, grounding, and a connection to something larger than yourself. That could be a connection to nature, a commitment to a philosophy, or even just a profound sense of human empathy. Because if you neglect any one of these pillars, well, the whole building is at risk of collapsing.
Part 2. The illusion of success, beyond societal metrics.
We've really been conditioned to treat success like a finish line. You get the promotion, you buy the house, you hit a specific number in your bank account, and boom, you're successful. Game over, you win. But we need to shift that perspective completely. Success is not a destination, but a state of continuous becoming. What we traditionally call success is honestly often a mirage built on societal expectations. It's kind of like a checklist handed to us by someone else, usually designed to fuel an economy rather than a human soul. True success isn't a static trophy you put on a shelf. It's this dynamic, ongoing process of internal growth. It's the act of continuously refining your blueprint, adapting to new info, and evolving your understanding of what it really means to be fulfilled.
So true success is absolute alignment. It happens when your internal values perfectly align with your external actions across all those dimensions we talked about earlier. Think of the executive who grinds their way up the corporate ladder for 20 long years, sacrificing sleep, relationships, health, all to reach the corner office, only to realize their true passion was teaching. That is severe misalignment. They built a beautiful room, but man, it was in the wrong house. Real victory only occurs when what you do every single day resonates perfectly with who you genuinely are at your core. It's the peace of mind that comes from knowing your blueprint matches the building you're actively constructing, regardless of how anyone else evaluates the facade.
Part 3. The power of failure, the foundation of growth.
Historically, failure is just wildly misunderstood and needlessly feared. We tend to view success as the beautiful finished structure, and we view failure as the bulldozer tearing it all down. But the architect knows better. Failure is simply structural testing. It's the wind tunnel. It's the exact stress test required to build a resilient, lasting life. Think about it. A building that's never been tested by a storm is a fragile building. Your failures are not an indication that you're broken. They are the exact diagnostic tools you need to see where your foundation needs reinforcing. Without failure, we operate under this really dangerous illusion of invulnerability. But when we embrace failure as a necessary test, we remove the stigma and the shame. We basically stop hiding our cracks and actually start sealing them.
So how does failure actively make us stronger?
Well, it comes down to a repeatable three-step process. Step 1 is confrontation. You have to look the failure right in the eye, without ego and without making any excuses. Step 2 is deconstruction. You take the failure apart. Let's say you bomb a major job interview for a role you desperately wanted. Deconstruction means asking the really hard questions. Did I actually prepare enough? Was my communication unclear? Did I just panic under pressure? You strip the event totally down to the studs to find the exact weak points. And finally, step 3, reconstruction. You rebuild, but this time, you use stronger materials. You take the brutal honesty of that failed interview to prepare relentlessly for the next one, essentially building a wiser, more durable version of yourself.
Part 4. The meaning of life, the ultimate synthesis.
The entirety of the human experience basically follows a distinct arc. We have birth, we have the struggle, which is our failure and our testing, we have the realization, which is our aligned success, and finally, legacy. We so often think of success and failure as total opposites, right? Like heaven and hell. But looking at this timeline, we see they're really just points on the exact same continuum. They're intimately connected. You absolutely cannot reach profound realization without walking through the struggle. The very wisdom required to achieve aligned success is forged right in the fires of our failures. Both triumph and defeat are absolutely necessary components to create a deeply meaningful human arc. They are literally the light and shadow required to paint a complete masterpiece.
Meaning is forged in the balance. It isn't found in some mythical, sterile void of perfection where nothing ever goes wrong. No. It's found in the beautiful, sometimes really painful friction between our greatest successes and our darkest failures. That friction generates heat, and that heat is the energy of life itself. When you embrace both the light and the dark, the building and the breaking, you step into your true power as the architect. You realize that the goal was never this pristine, untouched existence, but rather a deeply lived, richly textured reality where every single setback was just raw material for a stronger foundation. All right, so we've deconstructed the illusions of success, we've reframed the mechanics of failure, and we've explored the deep synthesis of a meaningful life. You are no longer just existing. You are completely in the driver's seat. So to wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a final thought to carry with you. Now that you hold the blueprint, what will you build tomorrow?